everybody. Welcome back to the Friday Society podcast. I am here today with Brett Eaton. He is a high performance coach based in San Diego. And Brett, we obviously met because we were both coached by Ann Malum, who everybody I think on the show knows how much I look up to as just a business owner. And we both had the pleasure of being coached by her at the same time. So super excited we connected that way.
I'm so glad. It's so great to meet you. I love what you're doing here on the show. And yes, we both had an amazing opportunity, and I'm so glad we got to connect because of it.
I know. I love it. Okay. Tell us about yourself. Where are you? What has your career journey been like? And who do you typically coach? Like, what is a high performance coach?
Great question. So my name is Brett Eaton. I live out in San Diego currently. I've been here for about a year. Spent a majority of the time in the DC area, and then born and raised New Jersey. So kind of making my way west. But but the journey has been a long journey. I really would say it's like a 6-7 year journey from where I started as a personal trainer and it was basically had every job you can have in the fitness industry, fitness manager, general manager, did everything you could do in a gym. And then back in around 2015, 16, I just kind of started asking questions. Like, is this what I really want to do for the next 10, 12 years? Do I want to get that promotion? You know, it used to be a joke at the gym that I was at that like once you got the promotion, it came with a salary raise and it came with 15 extra pounds that you would add because it was just stressful and you weren't doing what you love to do anymore.
Yeah.
And I just started asking myself, hey, is this what I want to do? Do I not like what I'm doing, or do I not like how I'm being told to do it? And that was kind of my like step into this entrepreneurial journey of, can I do this? I think I can do this. I think my way might be better than the way they're telling me to do it. What do I have to lose? And over the last 6 years, I stepped out of the fitness industry and really started coaching some of my personal training clients at the time. And the way I say it is I started coaching them in the other 23 hours of their life.
Wow.
So they would come to me for fitness, and some of them I was like, hey, I have a lot of these ideas and our conversations are so great. And obviously, you know, every personal trainer knows that you're their therapist, you're their best friend, you're their confidant. Like you talk all kinds of things with these people.
Yeah.
And I had some people say like, yeah, let's start coaching these other areas. And it was just a hit. And I found that I loved it. I loved that so much more. They were getting so much more benefit from it. And what I was finding was that those conversations were speeding up their fitness journey.
Right.
Because now we're attaching this whole lifestyle to it. And that's kind of, you know, over the course, I've done a lot of speaking events and you know, I love speaking to different companies and at events as well. But yeah, as to get to a high performance coach, to me now it's just, it's a really simple explanation. People hear it and they ask, am I a high performer? Am I not? To me, it's, are you somebody who is looking for, you know, who has good and is ready to go to great? That's all it is. And that could be in one area of your life. It could be in multiple areas of your life. But I'm just looking for people who are like, hey, I feel like I'm settling in this area and I'm tired of that. I want more. Good. Let's go get it.
Yeah. What attracted you? Because I guess for everyone listening, like, so Anne had posted something on Instagram, right? And she was like, you know, for everyone who's kind of stuck in a certain area, like reach out, you know, I'm taking on two private clients. What was it about that approach that like turned something on in you and you were like, oh, cool. Like, I love that messaging. And is that something that you know, to find yourself wanting to do as well?
To me, if you're not answering yes to that question, like, are you stuck somewhere? Is there somewhere you could benefit from having a coach, mentor, somebody, especially like Ann, who has, you know, accomplished a ton?
Yeah.
To me, like, I wouldn't be a high performance coach if I didn't think immediately I have to apply to that. Yes, I want that. You know, of course I want that person, you know, talking to me and looking over my business and giving me perspective.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Right. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want that? And I think that is the separator. The separator for the type of clients that I love to work with are people who always know that there's room for improvement. As opposed to, hey, I'm the best in this and I'm as good as I'm going to get. It's like, well, hold on. That's not really a growth mindset. That's actually the exact opposite. Yes. So I try to practice what I preach, and I'm always, you know, I've worked with a coach for the last 6 years at some point, in some way, at some, you know, whether it's one-on-one, in group settings, for business, for personal, for mindset. I've had a ton of coaches, and that's what allows me. I think I'll always have a coach, because to me, that's the best way for me to be the best coach for my clients, is to as much as I like to, hey, I'm going to give you some advice. We're going to talk through things. We're going to brainstorm. It's like, I want to be the example. And to me, I've always tried to be that person. Watch what I'm doing. I'm doing
Yeah.
it too. Let's do it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. It's funny too, because even as we're saying, like, who wouldn't want that? I remember when I first started getting into like, getting excited about goal coaching and all this stuff, like at Lululemon, we did goal coaching for people a lot. And I was like, what? It like felt like magic. Like I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. And then I remember, and some of my friends, I bet, like, will listen to this and they're like, yeah, like I wanted to goal coach everyone. And I was obsessed. Like, and there are some people though who were just like, I don't want to think about 10 years from now. I don't want to think about this. Like, I don't want to level up. So that, I mean, to me, that always feels, I'm always like, oh yeah, right. Like I have to keep remembering that, like, there is a balance, right, between getting super excited about things and like feeling content, I guess is the word. How do you identify when someone says that they are ready, and that like they do want it, but then their actions are actually not giving you that? Like, how can you identify that at this point in your career?
It's a pretty simple, it could be as simple as, somebody telling me, hey, what are the 4 main buckets of your life? What are the most important priorities for you? And then I say, okay, cool. Let me see your schedule. And okay, that, we can't hide from that. Right. So what I see on there is I see business meeting, business call, Zoom call, business meeting. I see no dates with your wife. I see no time with your kids. I see no workouts on there.
Right.
You just told me that the first 2 most important buckets of your life are your health and your family. Why are they not scheduled like all of our meetings are scheduled? Well, I bet you're not going to miss that meeting because it's scheduled. Well, to me, and people are like, well, and I had a client a couple last year actually, and he was like, well, my whole team can see my schedule. And I said, so let me ask you, are you somebody who likes to promote fitness? Do you promote wellness? Do you tell me what the negative would be for your team to see that you have a workout scheduled? And he was like, there really would be none. It would probably be a positive. I'm like, so why is it not on there?
Yeah.
Let your team see that you take an hour a day for yourself. Don't you want to be like fostering that type of environment for your employees?
Yeah.
And I think, it's become a real epidemic of just like this work, grind, make sure your schedule is always open for work. And it's like, you, as a leader, you got to ask yourself, is that the team that you want to grow? Is that who you want to be? Because any person that you bring onto your team, you are setting the example. And I think in corporate America, it's become a problem where we're seeing these people where like they're the next raise for me. I'm going to get that job, but they're burnt out. They're miserable. They never see their family. Their health is not where they want to be. And you start asking yourself, like, is that worth 10 grand a year?
Yeah.
Is that worth 20 grand raise? I don't know.
Right. Like after taxes, $600 a month. Like, yeah, no, I totally hear you. And I think it's, it's like you're saying of when you were at the gym, like, shoot, is that who I want to be? And like, I had a similar moment when I was working at an advertising agency and I had the choice to go back to Lululemon or to stay at this agency. And I looked at like both of the people that would be my boss. And I was like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. She's here every night until midnight with her lights on. Like, get me out of here. I do not want that life. And it's a really great thing to be able to look at what would be next for you and like puzzle piece yourself into that,
Yes. You got to look ahead.
Yeah. So, okay. Something that you said that was really interesting was you said, tell me what the 4 main priorities are in your life. Like how do people come to figure out what that is? Like, that just feel like, how do you sort of advise people and how do you coach people through figuring out what those are? Because I feel like a lot of people might not even know.
Yeah, well, to me, there's 4 main that we kind of start people off with, and most people can kind of fall into this category. And then there's usually a couple others. Some people have 5, some people only have 3, some people not. But for most, it's health, wellness, whatever you want to call that. The second one is going to be career, business, whatever, wealth, whatever we want to call that, around money, around our career, around our success. And then there's the most important, family relationships in our life. For some people, they don't, it's their personal family. For other people, it's their wife and kids, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that may be, friends. And then the other one that I've come up with, and it's changed over the years, but now it's fulfillment. Because I don't believe that we can have those other 3 filled up if we don't have fulfillment. Because for some people, what we realize is that, to give you a great example, somebody will be like, okay, what is our next career goal? You talked about goal setting. Is, okay, I want to make $20,000. Yeah, just something simple. I want to make $50,000 more next year. Okay, great. Why? And here is like the golden nugget to all this is you have to know why. And it can't just be, well, because I made this much this year, I'm supposed to make this much next year. And what we discover by asking some deeper questions and really going deeper into it is a lot of people don't actually care about making more. What they want is, and I asked them, what if you made the same amount this year, but you went on 3 more vacations and you worked an hour less a day? Is that actually more valuable to you than the money? Because what we're realizing is success doesn't always mean that fulfillment is attached. They are different. And we need to make sure that we're looking at both of those. So for a lot of people, when we finally tie in that fulfillment piece, it is a game changer for what their lifestyle looks like. And it makes their priorities in those buckets of their life so much more clear.
So what you're saying is, all right, what I hope you're saying is that you can't find fulfillment just through a job or just through your family. Because I think that's also a huge thing that I think has been essentially a misconception or like a lie we've all been told, right? Is like, once you find X, like once you find this person, you'll feel fulfilled. And once you step into this level of your job, you'll feel fulfilled. Once you open that second studio, you'll feel like, and I think that's something I've been just sort of like looking at lately is like, you never actually feel like you made it, right? Like no one ever really feels, even all the people we look at and we look up to, like no one ever feels like they've made it. And I guess I'm curious, like, I don't know, of your perspective on that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's always the next thing that's going to leave us fulfilled, right? And what we realize is, use a relationship. I love using relationship analogies. It's like, oh, we found the boyfriend, girlfriend. It's like, oh, now we're good. Well, no, you have to keep fostering that relationship to get that person to want to stay around. And then maybe eventually you get married. It's like, well, now I found a wife. Okay, good. Now I'm set. No, you have to continue building that relationship. Again, a relationship is a rent. It's not buy, right? You don't buy it and own it. You rent that and make that person want to continue to want to be there.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good analogy.
You got to do your job with that. Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find fulfillment for the journey. And entrepreneurs can really understand this, is that when you find those people who know they want more, both of us, for instance, we want more. We've talked about it. We know we want that next level. We know we're chasing something and we're excited for it, but it doesn't mean we can't wake up today feeling really fulfilled. Doesn't mean we can't be really proud of what we looked back on the last 6 years, or look back on my fitness journey, look back on all these things. If we really can tap into the journey of it, and yes, it's going to be work, but the work can also be fulfilling. When it comes to the misconception with success, people always say success is this destination where it just ends. It's this dead end where you get to success, you plant your flag, and everybody celebrates, and it's over. Success is not like that at all. It's the exact opposite. You reach it and you're like, I have more in me. Let's keep going. So if you can't find fulfillment at all of these checkpoints, you're playing the game wrong.
I just feel like this is going to be so critical for everyone who's listening, because my listener base is mostly people who are small business owners, and they are people who they have their own businesses, and, they're probably really run down. Like a lot of the time they get super run down while they're accomplishing some really cool things. So what tips do you have? Because I know, like, for right now, I'll take a few of my clients. Summer is notoriously slow. And for everyone listening, we're recording the end of August, right? Like summer is notoriously slow for the fitness industry. So they're looking at these reports, like, and you know this, you're in the industry. They're looking at these reports like, shit, like, oh my God, July, August, our utilization was like totally, really, really low. I know I have fall coming up. I need to really get it into gear. People are going to start coming in. Like, so they're feeling kind of stressed out. What tips do you have to sort of help people through this, like, feeling of, feeling like they've accomplished something and like finding some gratitude along the way?
That's a great question. So with some of my clients, they have the same thing. Some of them are in finance, and stock market's not doing great, and there's just there's a lot of like highs and lows throughout the entrepreneurial journey. So what we try to do is my job is to make sure that we're always making progress, and progress doesn't always come in the final numbers, right? It doesn't always come in the numbers right now. So we have this saying where if there's nothing that we can execute on right at this moment, we can sharpen the axe. And what that means is we can be prepared for when we can start, for when people come back in September. So what can you be doing right now where maybe you're not selling the memberships that you thought? But can you be sharpening the axe? Can you be working on the interior stuff? Can you be working on your mindset? Can you be working on, hey, what we're going to do in September and October, how we're going to plan ahead for the holidays? Can you be doing something where you are preparing? And I have this little saying called HOPE, HOPE. And the H is have a plan. You have to have a plan. The O is organize. You cannot be a great executor if you do not organize. And with a lot of my high performers, a lot of them have gotten by because they're great executors. But what we tap into, and what that like final 10% or that 5% that's going to get them like to playing at that highest level, is be better at organizing. And the P is prioritizing. So we need to not only organize, but we need to prioritize. Yeah. And back to your original question, summer may be different priorities than fall. Yeah. And it may be different priorities than when January rolls around and the whole world wants to, go back to Planet Fitness. Yeah. So you got to make sure that you organize and prioritize, and those two are the big ones. And then the E is execute. So if you do those in that order, you will be not only a much better executor, but executing will be easier for you. But you have to spend time on the organize and prioritize. And when any client comes to me and they're having a hard time executing, we don't just say, let's do better. That's no strategy. We go back to the O. First of all, we go back to the H. What is our goal? Do we have a plan? Do we have a goal? Then we organize again and we prioritize, and it makes the execution a lot more crystal clear.
Have you done the Strengths Finder assessment?
I believe I have. Yes.
Do you remember what yours are?
Oh man. I've taken so many personality tests like over the last 5 years to be like, all right, tell me everything. You're
probably
about
like IPX. Like I don't
remember. And I know that I should have those letters written
down. No, it's fine. So we had to do them for Lululemon, and I remember getting such clarity when I learned this, that my number one was that I was an activator, which like by their definition means I will do something like with knowing 80% of the information. Like I don't need to know all the information, and I just will do it, which can sometimes be a great thing and sometimes get me into a lot of trouble. And it's so funny, just as you're saying this, I'm like, yes, I do. I can execute and I can do it well, but like setting goals around something, I never do. Like there's a lot in there that I'm like, definitely missing, but it's interesting.
Well, I think a lot of great entrepreneurs, they start taking action before they're 100% ready. I don't think if you really think about it, there's so much information out there on any topic, on any subject, that you're never going to have 100% of the information.
And like by the time you get to 100, you're going to find new information, right? That it's going to trickle back.
Completely different. So I think ready, fire, aim is a great strategy for a lot of business owners. Is you have to sometimes, the best way to figure it out, have you ever gotten in your car and your GPS is not working? And you're like, what the heck? It can't find me. Where am I? Do you sit there for the next 12 hours trying to figure? No, you start driving and it finds you. Yeah. You're going to figure more things out on the road. So start moving, start going down the road. And you'll realize, is this the right road? Do I got to pivot? Do I got to go right, left, back, whatever? But just start moving.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get into accountability stuff in a second, but I'm still really on this, what you're saying about like finding fulfillment in each stage, because it's so critical. And I want everyone listening, like, just to hear that, like the importance of finding fulfillment in each stage before you get to this next thing. So what have you seen? What sort of like client transformations have you seen that, people have been able to sort of just like sit back and be like, oh, I am actually like, I'm in a good spot right now. I'm feeling good about myself. Like, how do you kind of coach people to this?
I think there's a misconception that you can't be grateful for what you have and also be unsatisfied. I think you have to choose one or the other. I disagree. I think you can 100% wake up every day with gratitude for the journey that you've been on, for the good, the bad, the ugly, everything you've been through, for what you have, for what you're working on,
Mm-hmm.
and also be like, I'm not satisfied. I want
Mm-hmm.
more. I'm not. I don't want to settle in here. I still want to continue going down this journey. So I 100% believe, first of all, you can have both. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is, I don't believe that we reward ourselves. We don't celebrate the wins enough. And an absolute mandatory for anybody who works with me in a group, in whatever we're doing, is we have to celebrate the small wins. And I have this
Mm-hmm.
line, and you can tell I have a lot of them, but if you do not celebrate the small wins, you often don't get the opportunity to celebrate the big wins. And the reason why is those small wins, they give us confidence. They
Mm-hmm.
also reward us and remind us that we are doing the thing that we set out to do, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes us want to keep going. Has anybody ever gotten a compliment from somebody about something? You could walk down the street and be like, I really like that shirt, Alexa. That is an
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Well, I guarantee you, when you look in your closet and you see that shirt the next time, you're like, I got a compliment with that shirt. I'm putting that one on and I feel good
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
That's a little win that reminds you, hey, I'm feel good about myself. Hey, I'm going down the journey. So throughout this whole process, and a lot of my clients, I work with them for 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
and we do 3 checkpoints, right? We do one after
Mm-hmm.
30, one after 60, and then we have kind of our 90. And again, that's just kind of our initial time working together.
Yeah.
But when I wouldn't be a good coach if we just checked in with ourselves after 90 days. It's no
Mm-hmm.
different than I'm going to set all my goals January 1st and I'm not going to check them till December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, we left a lot of opportunity to make wrong turns and go in the wrong direction. We got to have those checkpoints, and those checkpoints are a great opportunity to take a big goal, break it down by quarter or into thirds, and then
Mm-hmm.
celebrate when you get a third of the way.
Yeah.
It's like, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
big. And it just reminds us that, hey, we're winning. And
Yeah.
when we win, we want to win more. When we
Yeah.
constantly feel like we're losing, we stop wanting to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And business is a game, whether you like it or not. And the people who do the best are the ones who like to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, if you knew you were going to lose in a game with me, would you even want to start?
No.
No, you want a fighting chance, or at least you
Yeah.
want to feel like you're going to win.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to set up. We have to set up games for ourselves that we feel like we're going to win. Now, we're not always going to win. Losing's part of winning. But
Mm-hmm.
but if you feel like you're always losing and you're never celebrating anything, you're going to get frustrated with that journey and then go back to fulfillment. Where's fulfillment in our life if we're never happy and never celebrating?
Right. Yeah. And something that I, sort of tell my clients to do, and I hope everyone listening will do this too, is like, do you ever watch New Girl?
Yes.
Schmidt has like the douche jar. Like
Yes.
I like make people put a jar on their desk, but like every time something good happens, like every new client, every testimonial, everything you get, you write it down on a piece of paper and you put it
Love
in the
that.
jar, and then you cannot open the jar for like a year. Right. So
Love
that
it.
it's like after a year, you have all this stuff and you're like, whoa, okay, cool. Because when you're an entrepreneur, when you own your own business, no one is there to celebrate you. Like
No.
no one is going to have a 90-day performance review and say, oh, hey, you did these things really great. Like it doesn't happen. So I think
Right.
what you're saying of like in the moment celebration is so, so, so important.
And that's 100% why business owners and small businesses need mentors, need coaches, need communities where we're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to celebrate. Because even society, you ask somebody how they're doing and what is their default response? Good. Not great,
Mm-hmm.
not bad. I'm just good. Always, all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Well, we got to make sure that we allow ourselves to be like, I'm having a freaking awesome day today and I want to tell
Mm-hmm.
somebody about it. Hey, I had a
Yeah.
really big win. Who can I share that with? So
Yeah.
having those people in your life is so important. And the best part of a coach is, yes, they're going to call you out when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. They're going to hold you
Mm-hmm.
accountable. But at the same time, that person's going to probably point out things that you didn't see as wins
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to see as wins. I had a client the other day and they're like, man, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with this. And I was like, I'm just going to recap you really quick our last 6 months and just read them off some of these major milestones. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, if we could go back 6 months and I would have read that list and you said in 6 months, that's what we're going to accomplish, would you have said yes to working with me? He was like, heck yeah, I would. I
Yeah.
just, along the journey, these big accomplishments almost become second nature to us and we don't see them as these big milestones.
Mm-hmm.
Look back 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
compare yourself to you last year. Look
Yeah.
where you are, give yourself a pat on the back and celebrate that thing.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So, well, two things. I mean, I still like, I get, this is, I think, probably more of like a spiritual question than I even am intending. But like,
Yeah.
even when you said, we can feel, you can feel grateful and unsatisfied, like I have a physical reaction to that where I'm like,
Mm.
like, can you, like, I get it. And I totally, like, logically, I completely understand that. What is it about our ego that like makes us want to choose? Like, why do we feel like we have to choose? And this is where I'm like, maybe this is a question for the Dalai Lama or someone I don't know, but like, what is it about us not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just
Yeah.
can't, I don't know. It's hard for me. It's definitely something I struggle with.
I think they're both vitally important to moving forward. Because if
Mm,
you're not grateful for what you have, why is it, whatever you believe in, spirit, universe, why is it going to give you more? If you are
mm-hmm,
not grateful for what you have right now, you're kind of proving that you're not happy with this. Why would you deserve more?
mm-hmm.
Being unsatisfied, I also think is really important because if we just, and I use the word settling because settling gives me the visceral reaction where I'm like, oh,
Mm,
I don't want to.
uh-huh.
If somebody's like, oh, Brett settled for anything, I'd be like, oh, what? No, please. But
Yeah.
to me, like waking up in that word unsatisfied, to me, gives me the whatever you want to call it. Like motivation comes and goes, but if I wake up and I see the word unsatisfied, it reminds me that I'm still chasing. I still have something to
Mm-hmm,
chase. And I
mm-hmm,
like that because I like the
mm-hmm.
game. And,
Yeah.
no matter what you feel like, look like, how much money you've made, what your relationship looks like. Can I ask any couple in America and say, like, you guys think you can improve your relationship? Who's going to be like, nope, nope,
Right.
we're done. We're perfect.
Right.
No, of course. So,
Yeah.
but you can be really grateful for that partner. You can be grateful for the challenges you've been through, the
Mm.
conversations that you've had.
Okay. That's a good analogy.
But can you say, hey, I think we can like, we have
Mm-hmm.
a really great relationship, but can it be better? Of course, let's keep
Mm-hmm.
working towards it. And it makes it a relationship you could look at as a game too, right? It's a game with two people's hearts. You want to make sure that you're, protecting that game. But at the same time, like, yeah, you can be unsatisfied there, and
Yeah.
let's improve. Let's
Yeah.
improve our communication. Let's talk more. Let's go on more dates. Let's go on more trips.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Analogies are helpful for me. That was a good
Yeah,
one. I
good.
like that. Okay. I want to talk about your goals because you posted something on
Mm.
Instagram, I don't even know, a few days ago, but I was like, oh boy, you're running an ultra marathon. Is this right?
Yes. So
Like,
my
let's talk about your goals upcoming.
oh man, so my running journey has been crazy. 4 months ago. Let me make sure that that's clear. Back in April, I went through a big hard. Why am I beating around the bush? Went through a hard breakup,
Yeah.
right? Went through a really difficult breakup and was looking for something to. And for anybody out there who can relate to this, it was I just for being a high performance coach and having these high standards for myself, I just went through this phase where everything felt hard.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up felt hard, doing the business felt hard, talking to
Mm-hmm.
clients felt hard, waking up when my alarm went off felt hard. Everything felt hard. So
Mm-hmm.
I know this is probably not the natural instinct for most people, but for me, I felt my hard ceiling caving in where it used to be high, I could get through all these hard things. And now all of a sudden I felt like just everything in my day is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what do I do? What can I do here? And I would have never been a runner. I don't know if I'm built for speed or built for
Wow.
comfort, but I was just not a runner. I was always a gym guy, right? I much more prefer to pick things up and put things down.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I think there's something to this. And a client of mine, and I have this rule that I never take on challenges or goals that my clients have. I used to do it in the past and it always leads to disappointment. It's not my goal. It's not my
Mm.
why. I shouldn't be doing it. I'm just going to coach you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a client in the DC area who was doing a marathon ruck. And if you're not familiar with that, a ruck is basically, a military term. You carry some weight and you just cover
Oh.
distance.
Oh, wow.
So the marathon had a 25-pound vest attached to it.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to run a marathon. I never really wanted to because I didn't really want to train for it. But there's something about this ruck where I'm going to have to carry this weight, 26 point something miles. And I also realized there's no way I'm going back to DC for it. So I'm going to have to do this here by
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about the combination of that where I was like, I need this right now. I need the time outside. I need the time and space to think. I'm not going to be able to run very fast with this thing. It's going to take me long to do these miles. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I started with first day. I put this vest on. I walked 2 miles and I was like, I am screwed.
Wait, so how many pounds is it?
25.
Oh,
25. Which,
oh my God.
if you lift weights, doesn't feel like that much. Put it in a backpack, start walking, and it's going to feel like more.
Yeah.
So from April, I trained basically for 7 weeks, which should have been 12, should have been 16 weeks, but I trained because I kind of decided late, and I completed a marathon, my first marathon ever. And
in 7 weeks?
In 7 weeks. Yeah. And it was just much time.
Hold on. Like marathon, like 26.2 mile marathon.
26.2 miles.
You went from not ever running to running a marathon in 7 weeks.
Yes. Now with this ruck, it's kind of like a slog. It's like a slow jog. You're not really running very fast, but and in that 7 weeks, I did everything wrong you could do with your feet. I burned my feet running on the sand one day. I smashed it on my surfboard one day. I had to go get new shoes, and it was just disaster with my feet. Yeah. But it taught me that, okay, if my body can adapt from not running to running 2 miles and feeling like my legs were going to fall off to slowly increasing over 7 weeks to be able to do this thing, it was just the time and space I needed to prove to myself that, you know what, not only can I do hard things, but I can master hard things, and I can do things really, really well. And it was, it was just, it was a journey. But it was the space I needed, because when I was out there, I thought I was going to be like, I'm going to listen to every motivational podcast in the world while I'm out there. But that really wasn't working. And on most days, music wasn't working. So on most days, I would pop my headphones out, and it was just me in the early morning here in San Diego while the sun was coming up, running down the boardwalk by myself with my thoughts for 2 to 3 hours at a time. And man, to get through something hard, to get over something hard, it was like just what I needed. And it was this beautiful discovery of, I think I'm a runner now. And and then I took the vest off, and I was like, oh man, it feels so much better not running with this 25 pounds. So that's been my own kind of fitness journey. And yeah, I mean, there's been I did a 15-mile trail run with a buddy who came to me. We went up in the mountains and did that. So that was a huge feat. And now, for no other reason than I feel like I'm capable of doing it, and I want to call myself an ultra endurance athlete. So now the next thing is an ultra marathon, probably at the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
I'm still really caught up on this marathon in 7 weeks thing.
Yeah.
If nothing else, this proves that you understand how to get people to achieve big results in a short period of time. I mean, I literally can't even, I jog, 3 miles and I'm like, ugh, I'm done.
Yeah,
running also just doesn't quite do it for I don't get that feeling that
I was the same.
How in 7 weeks? How? What was your plan? How did you do that? I needed to know more.
Everything starts with a commitment. And the reason why I had never done a marathon, it was on my bucket list. I've always wanted to do it, but I've always wanted to cross the finish line and get the medal and drink the beer and do the thing with the people. I never wanted to train for it. And there was something about the beauty of needing that training at that time that sucked me in really bad. The other thing is that as soon as I said yes to this client and I said, yeah, I'll do that with you. He did it in DC. I did it in San Diego.
Oh, cool.
There was a deadline. Your question of 7 weeks. Do I wish I had 10? Of course. Do I wish I had 12? Yes. But if it wasn't about that person doing it, and actually there was 4 or 5 of them doing it, if I didn't know they were doing it the same day, I would have easily pushed it off. I easily would have bumped it back because I wouldn't have felt like I was quote unquote ready. So to talk about accountability, external accountability is so important for following through with things. It gives you urgency. It speeds up your dedication and your discipline. And it also gives you another reason why. When a Tuesday rolled around and I had to wake up early to go get this done before my calls and clients, and if I didn't get up and do that, I missed the day. The shot clock is going down. It's not, I can't just bump that day further on. That day disappears. So a way that I love to create urgency in my life is count backwards. Count backwards from anything. What's your next goal? Instead of saying oh, by December, I'll do that. Ask Alexa how many days, right? And Alexa will say, okay, you have 123 days. Well, tomorrow you have 122.
So I should get Alexa, is what you're saying.
or anything. Ask your phone,
Yeah.
ask something. But counting backwards, I like flipping over. I don't literally have one, but the old sand timer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like flipping it over and just seeing that sand is going through.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to create urgency in your life with any goal, start counting backwards, because that sand is not getting any bigger. If anything, it's only getting less. It's
Mm-hmm.
getting less. And the only thing you really have control over is the sand directly in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That sand that's going through right now, that's today. That
Yeah.
sand that's going through is the only thing you have control over right now. So if you want to get things done, yeah, look forward, have goals, all that, but take advantage of today. Don't waste it.
Yeah.
We only get one chance at this.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. All right. So I wanted to talk about accountability and you brought it up, which I'm really
Yeah.
grateful for. So it is a buzzword, right? It's
Oh,
like
for
one of these
sure.
like innovation and like community. And I'm like, okay, but what does it really mean to people right now? So it can get difficult to hold ourselves accountable to goals. Especially when, like, just like we're saying, like, you don't have a direct boss, you don't have someone
Mm-hmm.
that's saying, like, hey, Alexa, we're going to have your 30-day check in 30 days. Like, yes, having a coach, I think, is important to keep you
For
on
sure.
track, but how can business owners stay accountable to their goals? Like, what can we really be doing to make sure that we are, being accountable?
I think shortening your checkpoints is a great place to start, as
Ooh,
opposed to
good one.
saying I'm going to do that in the long term. No, like check in with yourself in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and you know, for some groups that I have that I coach, it's like we talk every 2 weeks. For
Mm-hmm.
some, we talk every week. So
Mm-hmm.
every 7 days, and literally we do a check in midweek. It's like every 3 days you have accountability built in there, which is why
Mm-hmm.
you're so successful. The biggest thing about accountability that people miss is, and for entrepreneurs, there's this thing, and I'm kind of creating this workshop around it, but it's called the CEO mindset. And the biggest thing that we need to kind of grow as entrepreneurs and as business owners is you have to adopt the CEO mindset of it's up to me to get this done.
Mm.
Now, where people confuse that is they confuse that by saying it's only me that has to get this done. No, you have to get it done, but
That's
why can't
big.
somebody else keep you accountable?
Yeah,
So
that's
you
big.
may not have a coach, you may not have something else. Actually, the co-host of my podcast, shameless plug, Better You
No.
Blueprint podcast, with my co-host Curtis, he was dragging his feet on doing this thing, and him and a
Mhm.
buddy of his, they pay each other at the beginning of the month a huge amount of money, and they only get the payment back when you accomplish the thing that you needed to do in that 30 days. Why do I
Wow.
love that? Why do I love that? I love that because it's not that I have to pay when I don't. It's I've already paid. I
Yeah.
need to work to get it back. Just like we do at work when we get a paycheck. There's
Mm.
a reason why employees show up every day, not because they love what they do, because there's accountability everywhere. One,
Mm.
my boss needs me to be there. Two, my team needs me to be there. Three, I want to make sure I get paid. And four, I want to make sure I don't hear the words, "you fired," right?
Mhm.
Like you want to make sure that all of that accountability is there. When you're doing it solo, you have to create that around you.
Mm.
Have a friend, have somebody, create that accountability in some way. And
Mhm.
I know, like in a PC world, everybody wants to be like, oh, rewards, rewards, rewards. I think consequences are a great motivator.
Mhm.
I know that there are
Mhm.
certain areas of my life where consequences scare me or fear me into action,
Yeah.
where I will do that. So
Yeah.
I think accountability, we fall into this trap of it should be me. I should be able to do it on my own.
Mhm.
Drop the ego. Who cares? Are you
Mhm.
struggling to do it on your own? Get external accountability. Why? Because it works. And what you
Mhm.
really want is you don't really want to do it by yourself. You just want to get it done.
Mhm.
And if external accountability helps you get it done, why are you not winning? You're winning that
Mhm.
way.
Mhm. Yeah, shorten it. So it brings me, I remember a book that I read that I loved, and she recommended in it to write yourself a check of
Ooh,
like, a large amount of money, but an amount of money that you have in your bank account, like something you could pay,
yeah.
but to an organization that you hate, like
Yes.
hate.
Yes.
And you have to write out the check and you have to date it for a certain day. And if you don't get it and you give it to a friend and you're like, if I don't get this done, you
Yep.
need to send this check. Right. So it could be
Yeah.
like a
Works.
politician you hate, like, whatever, like whatever it is, like something that you're like, I will not support this cause. and then you have your friend send it if you don't do it. And it reminded me of your co-host. I think that's such a fun, I mean, it really is a motivator. Like I'd do a lot before I would donate to certain, groups. So
For sure. I had a client do that in our BYB group and
I love that.
wasn't getting the results until, guess what? That first check went out to that place and it was like burning desire. All of a sudden she was rapid fire.
Oh
And
my
I was like,
God.
sometimes we need that to
Yeah.
see that. We need to
Yeah.
feel that. And to me, that's where accountability comes in a good way. And it's, there are parts, and this is where confidence and accountability are similar, where people just assume you're either all of it all the time or you have none. I
Mm,
think I disagree completely. I think there are certain
mm,
areas of our life where we are the most confident people ever because of our
mm,
education, because of the reps we've put in. There are areas of our life where we are not confident, right?
mm,
If you wanted me to be your high performance coach, all the confidence in the world. If you wanted me to
mm,
teach you a Zumba, I would not be very confident, right? We both would have a
yeah.
disaster.
Yeah.
But I think that there are other areas of our life where confidence, where maybe we're not as confident, where accountability is the same. There is something, Alexa, that you do all day, every day without fail that you're better at me than doing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is yet, but there's something that you do, no problem. But for me, I may struggle with that. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, in that area, I may need to have accountability come externally, where
Mm,
just from my years, because of my why, because of what I'm training for, but like waking up and go to the gym is not difficult for me.
mm-hmm.
To me, it's something I know it's going to give me so much. I don't need accountability from that. I
Yeah.
know I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Parts of my business, parts of my finances,
Yeah.
talking to my accountant, like I
Yeah.
need accountability so much in some of these other areas that
Mm-hmm.
to me, knowing I need accountability and not going to seek it is my own fault.
Mm,
I can't blame anybody for that but myself and my ego.
mm. That's a big one. That's
Yeah.
important. There's something else I was going to ask, and I forgot what it was. It just means that was that good. Okay. Let's talk about all your programs and everything. Better You
Mm.
Blueprint, Momentum. I know you're launching. We talked about that a little bit, and
Yes.
now you're
Yes.
launching it. So I'm super excited. Tell us a little bit about, everything.
Yeah, so Momentum is my brand new membership subscription, and it starts September 1st. So whenever this comes out, it'll be up and going. And it's an opportunity that really I've gotten so much feedback over the years of people who want access to high performance coaching, and a lot of this is through social media questions that people are asking, hey Brett, do you have I want to do coaching, but it's it's an investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a large investment for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So after listening and figuring out what the best opportunity is like I said, I want to give as many people the opportunity to high performance coaching as possible because I think people desperately need community. They
Mm-hmm.
desperately need to feel like they're part of something. And I think that that's a huge driver for people's success.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think paying for something, you pay more attention.
Mm-hmm.
When you pay more attention. And for a lot of people, $1 a day is not huge. My membership is going to be $29.99 a month, right? Less than
Wow.
$1 a day.
Wow.
However, we're going to do 2 calls a month. We're going to have challenges in that group. You're going to have opportunity to be hot seat coached by me, which means we'll bring
Mm-hmm.
you on. We'll talk through your specific challenge. That
Mm-hmm.
is super valuable to people who don't have that in their life and have not experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us know from working with coaches and things, you just have to be in the room to
Mm-hmm.
benefit.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be your question. It doesn't have to be your challenge, but you can hear the mindset or the shift of somebody else making and be like, oh, I could apply that to my life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't have that same challenge, but I do have that same limiting belief, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden benefit from that. So it's something that I'm really excited to bring together and to offer people, and really, for anybody who, there's the Instagram, there's the podcast that obviously are completely free. People can
Mm-hmm.
consume that all they want, but if they want
Mm-hmm.
that next step and they
Yep.
want to be in the room, I'm giving them the best opportunity at the best price to get in the room.
Yeah. And there's just something like every time, because, I told you about my membership, like every single time we have a call, the Zoom chat is like, oh, that makes so much sense. I'm going to apply it to my business this way. Like there is so much power in community and just hearing,
Big.
suggestions. And like I'm that person too, where like I hear an idea. It's why I love podcasts, right? Because like
Right.
I know they're not talking to me, but I can still hear it. And I'm like, oh, cool. That would apply to
Yes.
my business this way. And
Yes.
it really is just about like the information that you're consuming.
And
Um,
last thing on that, Alexa, is
mhm,
being in the room is accountability for those people.
Mm-hmm.
Being behind an Instagram screen or listening to a podcast, that person's not following up with you.
Right.
You didn't tell them your goals.
Yeah.
You didn't tell them what you were going to do in these next 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So there's great consumption there. There's great information there. There's really little follow through because there's no eyes. There's no accountability. There's nobody knowing what you do. The best thing that everybody could do, you want to get better at following through, tell somebody your goal. Tell somebody your goal that you would be embarrassed to have to tell them that you didn't do something. Don't tell your best friend who's going to cheers you anyway and give you a big hug because they love you. Tell somebody that you really respect.
Yeah.
And if the next time they see you, if they're like, hey, how's that thing going? Your skin would crawl if you didn't follow through.
Yeah.
That's accountability. And that's what we try to create in this group because everybody knows what everybody's doing.
I love that. Okay. So last thing I want to talk about is, because I feel like we could talk forever.
Sure.
I'm like, oh my God, it's 1:20. So one of your programs, I think it's Momentum, right, is 12 weeks, or you were saying that when you work with clients, you work for 90 days, right?
So Momentum is month to month, right? It's the only thing I have that's month to month, but all of my other programs are minimum of 90 days.
Okay. Anne, is doing this 60-day sober thing as well. And she said that it's because you need to have a life. Like you really need to live through your life for a certain amount of time for something to stick. I'm curious, what 90 days has done for your clients and like why you feel, it needs to be that 90-day commitment.
I've always loved 90-day goals. And personally to me, anything beyond 90 days, I don't feel urgency. Anything beyond 90 days, I feel like I can make it up at the end, right? Yes. Or I can just like go a little harder, like, sleep a little less, do a little more work. Anything less than 90 days, I feel like this clock is ticking and I feel, I don't know, pressure maybe, like, and I like that, right? I've always done better with that urgency that I talked about earlier. But why I love 90 days with people and why I don't work with somebody for less than 90 days is you don't, if your expectation is in 30 days, you're going to change your whole life, you probably haven't done enough work to realize that it's going to take a little longer than that.
Yeah.
But why I like 90 days is because I don't want somebody to disappear from life and make all of these changes in 14 days and then go back to real life, realize they can't maintain all of them and lose all their progress. So in 90 days, we get a real great snapshot of your life. You might take a vacation once a quarter. You're probably going to have a business or work trip once a quarter. There's going to be a holiday once a quarter.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to have a birthday in 90 days. So all of these things, you're also going to have a bad day in 90 days. Right? Well, for 14 days, you have the best day ever. Great. All fine. But in 90 days, you're going to have some bad days. You're probably going to have a bad week. I want to experience all of that with my clients because it's not that we're trying to avoid a bad week. It's how quickly can we bounce back from that bad week. Let's gain that confidence that we can do that. That way, the next time we have a bad week, all the cards don't come folding down. Instead, we're like, oh, I've been here before. And I know what to do to get back on track. I know how to get back on the other side of this. So I like 90 days because one, realistically, it's going to take that long. And the question that the whole world wants answered is how many days does it take to create a habit, right? And I was listening to a podcast the other day with Steph Curry, the basketball player, and he had a great line.
I like
you like that I gave a jump
shot? Caveat with basketball. I know. I think everyone knows who's Steph Curry.
Yeah, I just want to, just for those who don't, for those who are, I don't know. But he said it's not about how many times it takes to get something right. It's about how many times does it take until you can't get it wrong. And I think that is the answer to that question. How long does it take to create a habit until you can't get it wrong anymore? Drinking water, right? Really simple, right? You can drink water for 7 straight days, drink the right amount of water, be super hydrated. But on day 8, if you miss it, day 9, you miss it, day 10, it's not happening automatically yet, right? We want to get really good habits on what I call autopilot. Autopilot to me, it's happening almost automatically. The problem with autopilot is a lot of people's autopilot are flying them in the wrong direction. They have a lot of these habits that are not becoming the person that they want to be, and they're not going to the destination they expect. And then one day they wake up and they say, how the heck did I get here? You were on autopilot with all of these bad habits in your life and all of these bad routines. And next thing you know, that autopilot was flying you in a direction that you were not expecting.
I know. Did you read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits?
The best book, probably top 5 book I've ever read. So if you haven't read it, it's worth your time.
That was the analogy. And again, I said, I love analogies, but he made that, he said that of like, if you're in a plane and if you're going 1%, he was like, what did he say? He was like, if you make a turn 1% wrong for an entire year or something, like
Yeah.
that's 365 degrees. And like, you are back where you started. Like,
Exactly where you
yeah,
started.
I'm
Yeah.
totally butchering the analogy, but I'll figure it out.
No,
But
no. And since you brought that up, one of my other favorite lines that I think would benefit people from that book is when it comes to commitments. And he goes, we owe it, when we're excited about something, when we're setting a goal, a la January, right? When everybody's setting all these goals, is what we do when we're excited about it is we commit to what we think we can accomplish on our best day. That runs us into trouble. What we really need to be doing is setting commitments based upon what we can still accomplish and follow through with, even on our worst day. So if we say, oh man, I'm so jacked up. This is going to be the year I get back in shape. This is going to be the year I grow my business. And I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to write my book. I'm just going to practice it 5 times. And then you wake up the next day and it's raining and you're not feeling it anymore.
Well, on January 1st, whatever, and you're hungover, like you're not going to the gym.
You're not. So you got to understand, like when you set commitments, and my clients are sometimes taken back when my first question to them is that realistic? And it makes them pause for a second and they say, you know what, all right, maybe I should say I'm going to commit to 2 days first before I jump right to 6, right? If you come to me and you've been struggling with something for 3 months, there's no way in hell I'm going to let you commit to something for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
We're going to commit to it to 1 or 2 and prove to me that you're good at that. Prove to me that that's a game we can win. Then I'll be happy to let you bump your commitment up to 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. I think the major takeaway for me from this episode is shorten your goals down.
Shorten them. Create urgency.
Yeah.
Urgency creates motion.
Yeah.
Urgency creates motion, and also attach emotion to it. Emotion creates motion. If you are not moving fast enough on your goals, there's not enough emotion attached to it. There is somebody out there who wants what you want also, and they have a bigger emotional attachment to it. That's why they're going to beat you.
Wow.
If you have an emotional attachment to it, it's different. The people who run in the Olympics, and then you watch the story about them, and you saw where they started, and you saw what they're fighting for, and you see where their parents live, and that person has a gigantic why, an emotional attachment to that race. He doesn't just want the medal. He wants to change his whole family's life.
Yeah.
That matters to us. So tapping into what gets my clients going and what creates them emotion. I love when people cry on my calls. It's not often. I don't want you to, but when you cry, that means we tapped into something. We triggered something. When you get pissed and frustrated, good. I expect some change to happen because of that. Don't live in this like just blasé world where it's like everything is just okay. I don't want it to be okay. Okay doesn't make great changes in your life. Okay is a recipe for settling for a good life. When you know great is an opportunity for you. So get frustrated, get mad, get pissed off, get whatever you need to do to create that emotion, to create the emotion in your life.
I know. And I think like, a few years ago, I was like, okay, why do I love working with the people that I love working with? Like, why do I love working with small business owners and studio owners? And like, it's the courage that they have to bring to having their business, right? Like you have to show up if you want to be a small business owner. You have to show up. You can't go to your desk and like sit behind your computer. And like, those are not the people for me who like go and sit behind a computer. Like I want to work with people who show up, and like, that is just, I love like the emotions coming to it because it's just, it's important. It's why we're here. It's like to feel things. Like we're not here to like dull ourselves down.
You can't hide when your name is on the front of the building.
Yeah.
You cannot hide when your name is on the front of the building.
I love that.
When you step into this entrepreneurial journey, you can't just show up and do the bare minimum. You can't show up the same way you did as an employee and expect your business to be successful. CEO mindset. You have to take things like an owner. You have to treat things like an owner, and you got to show up with a completely different energy and attack it differently.
That is the best place to end this. That was so great. I know people are going to hang up and be like, whoa.
Good. That's what we wanted.
We're going to do rapid fire questions, but before we do that, tell everybody where to find you and how they can sign up for Momentum and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So Brett Eaton underscore on Instagram, Brett Eaton underscore on Instagram, motivatedbybrett.com is my website. You can find everything you want to know about me there. I'm also on Facebook, also on, LinkedIn type stuff. But the podcast that I have with my co-host Curtis is called the Better You Blueprint Podcast. We put out an episode a week. It's all about, exactly what we're talking here today. It's all about high performance. It's about how can we become the better version of us, whether that's business, whether that's relationships. We bring people on to talk about all of these main buckets of our life. So whether you're a business owner, whether you're not, whether you're looking to improve, every episode we try to put ourselves in our listeners' shoes to say, okay, how can we get 1% better today?
Awesome. Oh, I love it. All right. Ready for rapid fire?
Let's go. I love this.
Okay. Your number one favorite song to work out to?
Till I Collapse, Eminem. It's been a classic for so long.
Huh.
Song just gets me going.
Okay. Software that you cannot run your business without?
Google Drive. I think so many times people try to get the fancy Kajabi. Also, I use, but I think a lot of people overthink what things have to do. Like everybody knows how to use Google Drive. Don't overcomplicate it, right? Make it simple for your clients.
Yep. Oh, love that. Everything I do with my clients is Google Drive. Best advice you have for having a co-host?
Best advice I have for having a co-host. I would say somebody that thinks differently than you. I don't think having the same thought process on everything is great. And I would say that that's probably my same answer for who should be your first hire. When you hire somebody for your business, don't have if you're super creative, I'm a very creative person. I always want to bring all these new ideas to life. I don't want somebody who is also creative or will just drown in all of our ideas. I want somebody who can implement my ideas and tell me which my ideas suck. I need somebody who's going to be like, Brett, that's a good one. That's trash. Throw that one away. So I like that as our co-host. My co-host and I are very polar opposite. We speak differently. We act differently. We think differently, but I think it makes for great perspective.
Yeah. I love that. It's always interesting to me. And I always like to hear because a lot of us run virtual businesses and it's very interesting to sort of see like how we work together and the dynamics of that. So that's great advice.
You don't have to be complete opposites, but I think having slightly, you talked about the personality test. I think it's good, especially in business, to have somebody who can kind of counteract either your energy, your thought process, implement creative. I think those are good polar opposites to make a good team.
Well, this is not rapid fire because I'm going on a tangent, but that was what we had to do at Lululemon was we all had to take it, like everyone in the leadership department, we all took it and then compared answers. And it was fascinating because like me and my counterpart, his number one was that it was like whatever the opposite was of activator. Like he really thought things through. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like it was very cool to see. Yeah.
You guys probably worked well together.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well. So funny. Okay. If you could live anywhere in the world that is not in San Diego, where would it be?
Oh, great question. San Diego. No, I would, I'd probably say somewhere out of the country. I'd love to live in another country for, even a couple months to just really experience it, whether that be Germany, Ireland, Spain. I was actually just sat on the plane next to a lady who sold me on Indonesia. She's like, Indonesia is the best place. It's this. And she was flying back and I was like, okay, sold. Can we write up my whole trip? I'll come visit you in a couple months. Oh my God,
I love that.
So yeah, I would say probably somewhere out of the country to let me experience. I think travel in general is just great for perspective, and perspective is great as just a life resume type thing.
Yeah. Love it. Advice that you would give your younger self.
Ignore the noise and go with your gut. I think there's so much noise, and the younger we are, the more tendency we have to. Sorry, my answers are not rapid fire either.
That's okay.
But the more tendency we have to listen to other people's limiting beliefs, and we adopt them. And to me, the noise is be careful who you tell your big goals to, because they're gonna immediately tell you why they don't think they can achieve that, and that has nothing to do with your big goals. Their limiting beliefs and what they can achieve have nothing to do with you can accomplish. And I think back to every big, important, even hard decisions of my life, and my gut always knew the answer. It knew the answer before I admitted it. So your gut's never wrong.
Yeah. Another question. Have you done your human design? Do you know your human design type?
Why don't I have these written down? Yes, of course I've done my human design.
I'll send you an email after, and I'm going to ask you.
I need a notes folder that I have all of my personality tests in there. Yeah.
I love it. I'm just curious what yours is. Okay. Dream job besides what you're doing right now.
I think that is a great question. And I'm 35. I've always been in the mindset of I can't wait to figure out what I want to do with my life. And just, I can't wait to find out what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
And I say it that way specifically because every turn and every decision I've made has led me to a different thing. And, you know, high performance coaching and speaking is, you know, I've never woken up and just been so grateful for what I get to do every day and the clients that I get to work with and the conversations that I get to have and the stages that I get to speak on. It's just, but I know that there's going to be something in 2 years and 3 years that I'm going to find, and it's going to be like, that's what I want to do now. That, you know, not completely pivot, but just, I also want to host an event. I'll say that. My answer will be, I want to host a large event to bring people together, have some amazing speakers. And I just, you know, I've been to some events that have been game changing for me, my mindset, my business, my belief. And I want to provide that space for people.
I love that. I'm so excited about all these events that are happening now.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. One lesson that you took from the pandemic that you want to keep with you.
One lesson from the pandemic: adversity now, advantage later. I've always lived by this line: adversity now. The adversity that you're going through now, if you allow yourself to get through it, to fight through it, to get through it, it'll be your advantage later. So any tough challenge that I'm going through, and I adopted this as a young kid going through a tough loss, and I shouldn't say I adopted it then. Looking back on it, I've realized, but anything that we go through that's really challenging or a hard change or a hard transition, it's going to have adversity. But instead of looking at adversity as this thing that's going to slap you, slow you down, start seeing it as your advantage. The more adversity that you get to go through, the more advantage you're going to have on the other side due to your perspective, due to your mindset, due to your grit, due to your resilience. So pandemic, I think the people who kind of came out the other side, you know, really successful or feeling like they are a better, different, you know, better version of themselves is because they went through the adversity and they realize it's now their advantage.
Oh, I love that. This was such a great episode. This was so just motivating. And I am just so excited for all the small business owners to hear this and get so fired up about everything. So Brett, thank you. And Anne, if you are listening, thank you for connecting us. This was great. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. We could do this all day. And
I know.
I really appreciate you. And I hope everybody enjoyed this.
Yeah.